The British trials for the World Championships took place last week at the Olympic Pool in London, and the big news was the world record set from Adam Peaty in the 100 breaststroke. It was a stunning swim, as the 20-year-old from Derby becomes the first man to break 58 seconds, clocking 57.92. The Commonwealth champion and four-time gold medalist from the Europeans last year finished miles in front of a superb 59.1 from Ross Murdoch. Peaty boarded the pain train after a 27.0 split, but held on for the world record.
Absolutely amazing, and it's kind of relief that all the hard work's coming into play, and this isn't the final form. Obviously, I'm only 20, and I've got a lot of experience to gain, a lot of skills to gain, and hopefully that 57.9 is just a start, and hopefully I can get a lot lower than that.
8 swimmers made the automatic qualifying times. James Guy of Millfield swam a British record 3:44, the second fastest in the world this year, and we'll hear from his coach Joel Fink later in the programme. The elite group in Bath had a good week, with Chris Walker-Hebburn swimming 52 for the 100 back, Siobhan Marie O'Connor joining her man on the plane to Kazan with a 2:09 in the 200 medley. Jazz Carlin won 3 golds in the women's freestyles, winning the 2, 4 and the 800, although she's not expected to swim the 200 in Kazan. Carlin is the best of the rest, behind the dominant American Katie Ledecky. Lizzie Simmons, the European champion from 2010, made the automatic cut with a 2:08 in the 200 back. It's been a long couple of years for Simmons, now in Bath, and her former teammate from Loughborough, Roberto Pavoni, who made the team with a 1:57 in the 200 medley. Both have had their funding cut, and yet both were back to their best in London last week. As is Hannah Miley, who made the cut in the 400 medley with a 4:32 that leads the world rankings so far. So these are the swimmers who will lead the challenge for medals at this year's World Championships, and who will carry the British medal hopes in Rio next year. Meanwhile in Denmark, Jeanette Ottersen leads a team of 12 to Kazan, and once again the women catch the eye. Rika Pedersen, Mia Nielsen and Pernille Blumer of relay fame are the star names to look out for this summer, while Chad le Clos and Roland Schoeman will lead the South African challenge at the World Championships. Over in the US, the Americans are starting to get warmed up, as Ledecky, Michael Phelps and Ryan Lochte put on a show in Mesa. Phelps, remember though, won't be competing in Kazan this year. And in Russia, Morozov hit the headlines, away from all the doping headlines that is, with his 47.9 to lead the world rankings in the 100 free. With 4 Russians at 48.6 or better, that puts very little between Australia, Russia, France and the US. In the men's 4x1 free, it's once again shaping up to be the event of the World Championships. Well, that sums it up for the roundup. And now we're back to the studio, where we have the chance to talk in detail to Joel Fink, the head coach of Millfield, and the man who guided James Guy to his 3:44 at the trials and to second in the world rankings this year so far. I asked Joel if he was expecting the British record over the weekend.
Yeah, it was, James. James Guy had a great preparation into the British Championships, and we knew he'd be fast. Just exactly how fast we weren't 100% sure, but I've got a good feeling that we've got something in the tank for Kazan, and so yeah, I'm really pleased about that.
Well, tell us something about the guy that is James Guy.
He's a very good swimmer, but you may or may not know he's actually a professional fisherman. So he spends his spare time out catching fish and in fishing competitions. And that's his true passion. Swimming happens to just be something that he does on the side. I look at him, he's an amazing young man to coach. He gives 100% every single time in practice, and greater than that, he inspires those people around him to be their best as well. And he's as invested in the results of his teammates as he is in his own, and you couldn't give a person better credit than that.
Millfield took a big squad to the trials, who also ran very well. Tell us something about the atmosphere in the team at the trials last week.
Well, we had a great week. We had 21 swimmers there at the trials, and every one of them came away with some great success off the back of the meet. there were some great performances from some of our young guys coming through, and some names to watch for the future. But yeah, I mean, the atmosphere amongst the team was fantastic through the whole week.
And what's it like having someone like James to inspire the team?
James is hugely influential in that particular area. On night one of the British Championships this time around, there was a Millfield swimmer won each of the three 400-metre freestyle finals for men in the European Youth Olympic final, the European Games final, and then James in the senior final. And running through with those three wins right up the front of the competition really kind of set us up for the week. And talking to James after the race, we were discussing how it went and the whole thing. He said, I really felt pressurised to win the race because the two guys before me had won, and I didn't want to let the team down. So that it is kind of self-fulfilling, which is fantastic.
Now, James went to train with Mac Horton in Australia. Tell us how that came about and what he learned.
Absolutely. Yeah, we spent 2 weeks out in Melbourne back in February, and we were out there training at my former swimming club where I swam as a swimmer and then coached, and that's Melbourne Vic Centre in Melbourne, Australia. And that's now the base for Mac Horton, who is arguably the best sort of middle distance swimmer coming through in the world at the moment. And we had 2 weeks of fantastic training out there with Mac and his coach Craig Jackson, and alongside Ian Pope, the head coach in the program. And it couldn't have gone better. The two guys are great mates. Mac and James get on very, very well, and they spent time hanging out together. They spent time training up against each other, and they really challenged each other for those 2 weeks. All in all, it was a great experience. We finished that off by going to compete at the New South Wales Open Championships up in Sydney. And James turned in some pretty fantastic in-season performances at that meet. His two best in-season performances in the 400 and the 200. And all round that was a fantastic trip, very worthwhile, and something we intend to do again in the future.
And we'll see them together again in Kazan. Now, the qualifying times were pretty tough this year, intentionally so. What was your view on making the qualifying times as tough as they were?
Well, we're supportive of the challenging qualifying times and the standards just being pushed up for individuals to make the team. It's not going to be easy to transition out of heats into semi-finals or finals in Kazan, and we know it will be less easy than that to transition in the same way in Rio in 15 months' time. So the fact that people are being put under pressure to qualify for the team, I think is a healthy thing for the team as a whole.
Now, Adam Peaty, of course, was outstanding. What effect does that have on the championships and the swimmers to see us swim like that? Just
unbelievable. That particular night when Adam swam the 100 breaststroke, it was great in the minutes before that final. That every coach, every athlete that was at the meet came down onto the pool deck, and we're trying to find their position to watch the swim because everyone was expecting it to be pretty good. When Adam swam down that first 50 and touched the wall in 27.0, it was just pandemonium. People were just so excited to see what was going to happen in that second 50. And when he touched the wall, it was 57.9. My swimmers were turning around to me saying, "Hang on, that's a backstroke time." It was incredible, and it's lifted everybody because it's added that belief that Adam will have success both in Kazan and in Rio. It's also added a lot of thought around the medley relay and those 4 guys who will make up that team, the way that they're going to be positioned to have success at both those meets as well.
Thank you, Joel. It's great to talk with you, and we'll see you at the Best Centre this summer. And best of luck for James and the rest of the Millfield team this year.
Thank you very much, James. We look forward to seeing you too.